Hello, folks. It's Josh Karyevsky here. I'm here with Lynn Langit, and we are at the YOW conference in Sydney, Australia. Hello, folks. So, who's Lynn? Lynn is an amazing woman. This is going to be an extremely inspiring show. I'm very excited about this. She's a cloud architect. She's a data architect. She's into bioinformatics. She's done some incredible things there. Taught herself so many things. This is amazing. So, we have a lot to talk about. Can we start talking with you about your career and some of the things that you've done over the years? I know we talked briefly about some of the things that you are passionate about, like micro mentoring and visibility.
Yeah, so I came to a technical career at 38. So I started sort of at midlife, and in some ways, it's a great advantage because it makes me keeps me closer to beginner's mind, right?
Mm.
So when I was started working in this field, of course, there are very few women. Unfortunately, not a lot of women still, and I made a number of career decisions because I saw women doing jobs that I was interviewing for. For example, when I was interviewing for Microsoft for a technical evangelist, I really was feeling like, am I really qualified? Gosh, I'm not really sure. And honestly, what put me over the top is I saw a woman doing an interview on MSDN Channel 9 about being a technical evangelist. And that was kind of the thing that pushed me over the top to allow me to comfortably join a team of 60 men. There were 60 men and 2 women. And so I thought, well, that really worked for me. And then as I'm progressing through my career, I'm very aware of this. And so I take a lot of speaking opportunities. So here I am at YOW, and I actually was doing the keynote. And, this has been my year of keynotes and really pushing myself further because my own experience has been when I see see diverse people doing these jobs, it kind of gives me the confidence, and I feel like I need to give back. Like
Yeah.
that's part of what I need to do.
Well, your keynote was incredible,
Thanks.
and with your co-presenter Dennis
Hmm.
about the genome.
Yep.
And can you say a little more about that?
For sure. I got interested in bioinformatics about a year ago, and I've been working with CSIRO here in Sydney, Australia, remotely as a cloud architect. They have some machine learning algorithms and some tools that they have created, and they really don't have the staff on board to understand how to use cloud. Basically, they are kind of just reading the documentation and trying to figure out how to get Amazon EC2 up and going, and they've got really important things to work on, like where to edit the genome. And so I was introduced to them at a conference, and it's been a pattern in my life that I've done about 20% of my time volunteering, technical volunteering, because I find it to be just satisfying in many ways, and I learn lots of things. And so this is the new project that I've been working with, and specifically I'm working on a machine learning algorithm to help to find, as Dennis likes to call it, the needles in the haystack, or the genomic variants of interest for disease conditions.
Wow.
And then another tool which is like a Google for finding the GT scan edit point, so that the bioinformaticians can find the place they can actually cut in the genome and then make alterations so that they can start to try out personalized medicine solutions for diseases like cancer.
Wow, that's incredible. So, and you taught yourself bioinformatics like a year ago, is that it?
Yeah, I don't have a TV, so this is really convenient.
All right, folks, do not have a TV, and maybe don't cut down on the Netflix shows.
Right.
So you taught yourself bioinformatics, and here you are giving a keynote on your journey with that and the genome project here in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. I'm really impressed. You also have like the number one of the most popular courses on lynda.com about Hadoop. Is that correct?
I do, yeah. I worked at Microsoft, and I came out of the Microsoft ecosystem. So I was a Microsoft trainer, and then a partner, and then I worked there. And back in, oh gosh, it was 2011. I left Microsoft when the cloud was starting to be a thing, and these new database technologies were coming out, because I did a lot of work previously in traditional database technologies like SQL Server. Mm-hmm. So I live in California, and I saw Hadoop and NoSQL. And when I left Microsoft, I said, I want to really learn about this. So I pushed myself hard. I went literally a month after 14 years in Microsoft. I went to a Cloudera class, Linux, Java, Hadoop, really really difficult, but learned it. And because I thought my journey in learning would be valuable, I made courses out of it. And one of the courses has resonated with a large audience.
Wow, learning Hadoop. Beautiful. So you're constantly, it seems to me, you're constantly taking on giant challenges and experimenting and learning. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm a curious person. I really, yeah, I mean, I'm my poor kid. I have one daughter and she's off to university this year, becoming a bioinformatician.
Oh.
And yeah.
So the apple doesn't fall far from
Well, I know, it's kind of like at the same time. And, when she would bring home her, calculus homework, it would be like, great, fantastic, teach it to me, yay. Because I never had the opportunity to learn, that level of math when I was in regular school.
And you've learned a lot of math just on you're an autodidact.
Well, I'm a math nerd, that's for sure. I learned calculus when I was 51. I was laid up. I had a foot injury, and somebody challenged me. They said, just do it. Just learn calculus. And it was the best thing ever. I did Khan Academy, the thing for the kids.
Yeah.
I did it like up to 3 hours a day because I had to do all these stupid foot exercises. I really hurt my foot. It's fine now, but like I was seriously couldn't get off the couch, and like I'm not going to watch TV. So. I got all the way. I did like 500 exercises of Khan Academy, and like it's really helpful now because I'm trying to master these new machine learning libraries, and they're based on calculus.
Oh, wow.
And so I have this like advantage similar to people that have just come out of university, right? Plus experience. So
awesome.
yeah, it works.
Very, very cool. Now, we also talked a little bit about teaching kids. You teach kids how to program, don't you?
Yeah, so when I joined Microsoft in 2007, and I was on that team of, 60 guys and 2 women, I was like,
Wow.
I kind of want to do something about this, And so I negotiated, and I negotiated with Microsoft, and I actually got as part of my contract. 25% of my time was to work on the woman in tech problem. So it's kind of, this is actually really important though, because typically what happens is diversity initiatives are kind of like nice to have, and then you burn out, right? Because you like have to do it on top of your work,
right? And
so this is like a really key thing for people that are working at corporations. Like it's not just salary that's negotiable, it's your time, right?
Yeah.
And so 25% of my time was devoted ultimately to teaching children, because that's where I found the niche area. And I started with this program called DigiGirls. They didn't have an instance of it in Southern California, and I found that they didn't have any curriculum. And so, it was like well-intentioned, and I literally sat down with, at that time, my 8-year-old daughter, and I was like, what's fun? And because there was like nothing, anything that we made was used, and it was used globally, and suddenly I was the global curriculum coordinator for all of Microsoft, and I got a lot of iterations, and so I learned, right?
Oh, I see.
So that's kind of how it started. And then when I left Microsoft, we took the work that we had done on a proprietary Microsoft platform on Small Basic, and by starting to interact with school teachers, because we were starting to understand that this was a bigger issue than just having events. We wanted to like
ongoing, right?
Yeah, really, make an impact and bring more people into the programming pipeline. And so we started working with school teachers, and we found that there was this huge gap in middle schools. Because in the primary school, there were these visual-based programming environments, and then in high school in the U.S. it was AP Java, and middle school there's nothing. So we took the work that we had done in Microsoft, and then we ported it over to Java, which was a little tricky for me because I wasn't a Java programmer.
Yeah.
So actually I had to hire people. Anyway, and so now we have an 80 course library that is being used in 16 U.S. states and 10 countries.
Wow.
And it's open source. We have teacher resources, and we have 2 models. One is completely free, teachers train and that kind of stuff. And then we spun off a separate nonprofit called TKP Labs, and they're a nonprofit, but they're fee-based, so they train teachers.
Okay. Okay. And you mentioned that when we were talking earlier today about the thumbs up from the kids.
Yeah.
Say more about that, because I think when you're experimenting and learning rapidly on a product and delivering value continuously, you epitomize that, I think, with your kids' courses.
Well, it's not, that's just one example. I mean, obviously with the commercial software as well, but with the kids stuff, I had my daughter, right? And she was growing along the way. And, initially I would just, try it out on her, but eventually she became, a support person, and then even eventually a teacher, and then eventually a courseware author. So when we were working with her and any other kids I could find, I'd walk around the neighborhood and say, hey kids, come on over, it'll be fun. We won't watch TV, but it'll be fun. And I would do the lessons, and then the kids, they'd be like, thumbs up, which would mean good. We could keep going.
Good lesson.
Yeah, or kind of boring, right? That up the fun. I have a German background, so I'm a little light on the fun, right? or kind of, that's dumb,
Very bad.
right? And we did this just constantly because, just like any software product, until, like you say this, I guess, until it goes out to the user, it doesn't really matter. Right? It doesn't really matter. In this case, the kids were the users.
Excellent. So that helped you evolve this nonprofit courseware, which is now helping lots of people around the world.
Yeah, it's so exciting. We got graduates. So we've got one woman. She I taught her when she was 16, and she graduated from University in Canada. She's now 23, and her first job was at Pivotal, 6 figures, programmer, super cool.
So you're making people awesome. I think if we looked at this wonderful little graphic here. You're making people awesome just by, first of all, by giving keynotes like this around the world on genomics and bioinformatics, and just proving that you can learn this stuff and you can be helpful to people in the world. You also mentioned you had a couple of friends with cancer and that this was related. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. So the reason I got into bioinformatics is because one of my best friends, the woman who was my maid of honor at my wedding. So I've known her for 30 years, just best friends. Our kids are the same ages. She got cancer, and she's okay now. But she had such a harsh course of chemotherapy, just the most radical treatment, and it was dehumanizing.
Yeah.
It was. And I was, right alongside. Her daughter was in college, and her daughter was having some difficulties, and so I was kind of helping, very much part of her journey, right? And it was just horrific. Because of some other work that I had done, I was aware that immunotherapies are starting to become available, which involves editing the genome. And again, I'm not a bioinformatician, but my understanding of this is the bioinformaticians find the edit points, they edit, they put your own cells back in, edited cells, and then it's kind of like the same process when you get a cold and you have an immunity. So the disruption to your body is similar to when you're recovering from cancer, let's say, is similar to when you're recovering from a cold.
Wow.
So I have my first friend who couldn't have that. And that's what spurred me to do this, because I know that this is becoming more broadly available. And then I heard from one of my vendor partners that the bioinformaticians needed some help from cloud experts. And I was like, well, I'm all in. And then I had another friend who actually is a patient advocacy person, because he's had 3 cancers in his life. His name's Andrew Shore, and he runs patientpower.info. And they connect patients with doctors, and they also now help patients to get into these immunotherapy trials. So I'm very kind of learning about this from him, and he's personally, able to take advantage of this. And I'm seeing that he can, really have his cancer is more like a condition rather than just this complete disruption. And I'm just like, well, what can I do so more people can, be in this situation?
Right.
And so I happened to come to a bioinformatics conference in Australia, and then I met these people in CSIRO, and here we are.
Yeah, incredible. And you called it personalized medicine? Is that what this is named for?
Yeah. So, and again, I'm not a bioinformatician. So you can fact check me, people watching this. But the understanding that I have is that with the genomic editing, well, first, you have to do processing of the diseased patients and the non-diseased patients, and then analyze where the letters are different. That's one part of it. And then you have to look at where the experimentation can be done. And there's some aspect to how the DNA actually presents. Like sometimes it's more tightly curled, so it's tougher to edit. So one of the tools that we showed is like I said, it's like a Google for the genome, and it literally has green or black. And it's like green is edit here, bioinformatician, black is... And, tools like this are really important because the genome's so wide, right? Like 3 billion letters, and we're 99% the same, but that still leaves like millions of places that these bioinformaticians have to look at. And it's not just a single letter, it's groups, right? So it's like a really difficult computational problem, and they need really fast feedback.
Yeah.
And they don't have it. And so that's where I'm coming in. I'm trying to help them with cloud scale stuff so that they can, take advantage of the economies of cloud and, all that kind of stuff, so they can get faster feedback and get the right edit point.
And we were talking, and by the way, folks, I think we were talking last night. You're doing this for free because this is your 20% time.
Yep.
So Google people have 20% time. It's a pretty powerful thing to do just for yourself.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. Like I've always, I'm kind of like, I run my life the way I want to, and I've been very fortunate. The curiosity kind of drives that, I think. Anyway, so, whether I worked for a corporation, Microsoft, and I had the 20% time, or on my own, and I can't always do it. I've been independent since 2011. You got to earn a living, right?
Yep.
But my curiosity allows me to have skills that are in really great demand. So like right now, for example, literally right now, I'm trying to understand the implications and applications of deep neural networks. So TensorFlow and MXNet. It's really hard. It's a really hard problem. Really, it's, applied calculus on matrices, right? Like really hard, but fun, really fun. And if I can get that, that skill's in really high demand, so I can charge really premium money for that.
Sure.
And that enables me to have my 20% time.
So I think you keep yourself safe by constantly learning, and it's driven by pure love of what you're doing too, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm a super nerd. Like I'm the one that likes to assemble the IKEA furniture and likes to look in the car engine, and I'm just like, how does that work? How does that? Show me how that works. And again, I have this weird confidence that hopefully isn't off-putting, because I think I have the ability to understand anything, which is maybe a little crazy. That's who I am.
It's bold, and you're having a major impact. So it's incredible. And just finally here, you speak at some conferences, not at others. What's your criteria for speaking? Because obviously you're here at YAO. You've given the keynote,
right?
In 3 cities here: Melbourne, Brisbane, and Sydney. Brisbane. Sorry,
American.
Yes. So what's your criteria? Like how do you think about what conferences to speak at?
Yeah, well, life is about choice for those of us who are, have had some good fortune. And so I'm very specific when I select the conferences that I speak at. I would like to see diversity in the speaker lineup, and I look for that. I research when I'm requested to speak at a conference. I will research previous instances of the conference, and I will favor those that have diversity in their speaker lineups. I will also look for code of conduct. So I have choice around the environments that I put myself in, and I do my research.
Great. Well, this YAO conference has been a pleasure.
Oh, fantastic.
Wonderful
Good job.
diversity here too. Yes. So very, very good. Thank you for being on the show. It's been a pleasure to just interview you, and amazing woman. So keep watching. What are you going to do next? I mean, are you going to help us get to Mars or something like that?
So I'm going to take a break from speaking, because I've been really pounding on the speaking, and I'm going to work hard with Dr. Bauer's team to make Variant Spark the best machine learning API for bioinformatics by bringing together and coding remotely with a group of volunteers that we have inspired worldwide. We've got about 5 people, and we have a big backlog of projects so that we can get unit tests around the code, we can get continuous deployment in the code, all the best software practices.
Fantastic. What more can we say? Thank you so much, and thanks for watching, everybody.